Hello and welcome to the channel. It's been a long time since I've uploaded, but nobody cares, so getting straight to the topic. I figured that I'd make a video in regards to just the upcoming KC Cup and the decks, or the most popular or the best ways to play the decks that are going to be played this KC Cup, from the tier list and even some rogue options. I guess not too many rogue options, to be honest, because I think everything that is rogue to the rogue is basically just tier 3 right now. Not too many other decks are going to survive this meta, to be honest. So if you're not playing what's on the tier list already, if you don't know what the tier list is, the Duel meta, I don't think you're going to get very far unless you're just like him, you know. But I'm going to start off with Salamangreats. Now, I'm not saying that I am the de facto, leader of deck lists, you know what I'm saying? I don't know everything. I'm not, top player counts or anything like that. But I think I have a good idea of what should be expected and what are some good options for you to play. So starting off with Salamangreats, right? I'm just gonna put cards in and I'll talk as we go. So personally, right, I think the deck should look something like this as I put the cards in. And I just wanna make something clear. There are gonna be a lot of like weird tech options you see. Just, when the lists get uploaded after the KC Cup is over, because the meta starts to evolve after a certain point when you get to the upper echelons of the KC Cup, so they start trying to counter each other, you start running into the same people and stuff like that. So, actually missed a lot of Salamander codes. So, yeah, I'm not accounting for that. I'm just accounting for general stuff. Got Bison, so I'm missing. Oh, Jaguar. Like I said, it's not the end all be all, but like I said, I think I have a good understanding and idea of what's going to be transpiring in this KC Cup. Where are you? Now, most Salamangreat decks are probably going to have this general build. And as far as ratios and stuff, it might not look exactly like this, but I think most Salamangreat decks are gonna look like this. Now, these 3 slots that I'm leaving open, I'm gonna show you what I think people might, interchange and play with. Extra deck, it's pretty standard. I don't think there's gonna be any special or secret sauce. There might be, but it's not competitively viable, and that's Dark Fluid. People might end up playing like the Ritual to get an extra counter on Dark Fluid, but I don't think that's reliable, so it probably won't even come out, so just ignore that, but that is an option. What am I missing? Most people will be playing 3 Pyro Phoenix on them too. And what am I missing? Not entirely sure. Maybe a second Stallion. This last lap are pretty much, it's just personal purpose. Probably Goddess, actually. Goddess would probably go here. Where is she? There we go. Now, these last few slots, you're probably going to be looking at cards like Crosswipe. Crosswipe's going to be good for hitting their back row, for just dodging certain effects, along with Droplet. Crosswipe's going to be really good in Salamangreats. People, we've seen this card before, but a lot of times people don't play certain cards. You know, they play more hand traps. You know, they might opt in to play more main deck Salamangreat cards. And speaking of main deck Salamangreat cards, I think the sweet spot for Salamangreats is going to be 18 Salamangreat cards. That's probably going to be your best ratio. Let's see how many we have so far. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So between 17, 18, 19 might be a little bit too much, but 17, 18, 19, that's going to be the sweet area for Salamangreat cards, because what you don't, last thing you want to do in Salamangreat is to brick, and bricking sounds virtually impossible with this deck. But I mean, it's different from ladder, you know. When you're in the KC Cup, you want to get streaks. You want to get, you know, you want to have a good chance of beating someone that might be a little bit higher above you in the on the ladder for KC Cup. So bricking that game is not gonna feel good. Again, you definitely don't want to lose to a player below you because you brick. So I think 18 is going to be the sweet spot. 18, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look at the math right now. I believe 18 is about 83 to 87% for just to see at least 2. I could be wrong about that. Let me just check. Alright, so 30 cards, hand size 4. I'm not accounting for going second. Don't worry. Probably going to get it anyway. But going first is a little bit more important. See a minimum of 2. %. 83.74%. That's perfect odds. 85 is usually the sweet percentage of consistency that you want to see in any Yu-Gi-Oh format anyway. So there's that. But like I said, cross white, people are going to want to play. Another option, you know, you've seen before, is Hollow Life Barrier. Now, I don't think Hollow Life Barrier is going to be that reliable because Pharaoh is going to be... I feel like Pharaoh can replace Hollow Life Barrier. Me personally, I would play 2 Pharaoh. Pharaoh is good because 1, it's a hand trap. 2, you can use it in your combo, gain life points. That's going to be good against Resonator. And I mean, it's going to count for your skill. Hollow Life Barrier is just going to protect your board. It's not going to count for your skill. And that might be a small chance that people are willing to take. They can play the 1 Hollow Life Barrier for a second Jaguar. Not having to search or dump the Jaguar rather is going to be good. Like if you dump it with your skill instead from your hand, that's going to be good because then you can instead dump a Transcendence, or you can dump a Circle, you know. So those are some options there. Also, people like to play Mole. Mole, I think, is a little bit win more. I mean, you may be able to come back with it, but that's very rare. It might happen 1 duel on the whole time that you do it. The whole time you play in the KC Cup. And then the last option is a second Transcendence. That's also a good option, so you don't have to worry about trying to get it back. You can worry about getting something else back, like a Circle, or let's say you only run 1 Sanctuary, your opponent gets rid of it, bring it back. The second Transcendence is also an option. But between those 4 cards, Jaguar, Mole, Recurrence, Falco, and Hollow Life Barrier, those 5 cards, I think it's not going to get too much shaky. I guess it's pretty much going to be the cards that you're going to see. No real big surprises. Next deck, I'm going to review, Resonators / RDA, whatever. Now for Resonators, right? There's 2 versions of the deck I've seen. I've seen 30 card lists. Everybody knows about that. But I also see the 21, 2, 3 list coming up. And from what I've seen, that list specifically focuses on getting that perfect board all the time, going first. So getting, Red Dragon Nova, Abyss, Void Ogre Dragon with 2 set back row. That's gonna, and then having Crimson up. That's like the perfect setup. I think that list focuses on that specific, getting that all the time. That's what I've seen from the 20 card list. It's not a bad strat. I mean, guaranteeing a win for 50% of your games is pretty good. Those 20 card lists, let's see, Meister, spelled that wrong. I don't know if people, am I doing something wrong? Yeah, these 20 card lists, I mean, they're pretty good. They typically don't run a lot of like triplicates. That's the proper term. I'm saying that right. Because the list is smaller, so you don't want to run a bunch of the same cards in your hand. You don't want to see a bunch of those same cards in your hand, because then just defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. Some cards are okay to draw as duplicates, like Bone Archfiend, stuff like that. But otherwise, not really. I just want to show you guys what something like that might look like. And Scarlet Security. Typically looks something like this. The Searchable Disrupt. It doesn't opt for too many text because the deck kind of covers almost all its bases. I mean, targeting protection, destruction protection, built-in negates. I mean, you name it, this deck pretty much has it. So, it can look something like this, very small. But then, the 30 card list, which people are a little bit more familiar with, it's gonna have the text like Effect Veiler. You might see a Droll or two, but I don't know if Droll is gonna be that popular in Resonator decks. It just might be, but I'm not entirely sure because they really don't need Droll. It's kind of like an overkill. But I mean, I don't see that many Drolls in Resonator decks. I have seen it before though. Let's see. Oh, DD Crow is going to be a good option because that's definitely another versatile card. Super versatile. Now, what I'm not sure is that if in 30 cards people are going to want to play the 3 Bone Archfiend. Usually you see 3 Crimsons, 3 Bone Archfiend, and or double Fiendish Chain. Now, I would say take your pick. I don't think one is particularly more correct than the other. Like, if you play 3 Crimson but only 2 Bone Archfiend, I don't think that's wrong. Versus, 3 Bone Archfiend and 2 Crimson, or 3 Bone Archfiend versus 2 Chain or 2 Chain and 3. Like, any combination of these are probably going to be correct. It's possible that you can fit all 3 of those in at 3. Or, well, Fiendish Chain would be at 2, but 3 Crimson and 2 Bone Archfiend with the 2 Fiendish Chain. It's just that for me, I don't think I would do something like that because, like I said, I like having, variants in my hand. I don't like to see duplicates that often. So, I don't think I would run something like that, especially with how consistent the deck is. People also run 3 of the Soul Resonator. I only own 2, but people also own 3 of the Soul Resonator. It might just look something like this, So, like I said, personally, I wouldn't run something like this. I would probably do 2 Soul Resonator and 3 Crimson, 3 Bone Arch. See, that's the thing. Like, it's correct either way on how you want to do multiple copies of these 3 cards. I think they're all correct. And these are the correct ratios for every other card. Like, you're not going to be running 3, Vision Resonator and 2 or 3 Synchron Resonator. You know what I'm saying? You may run a second Tuning Gun potentially. That's nice to discard with your skill. You don't mind opening that. So there's that. So there's going to be a lot of variance in those areas, but everything else is pretty much standard. I mean, these decks, Salamangreat, Resonator, they're tier 1. They've pretty much been solved already. So there's not much else that you can add to the deck. There's no like secret sauce or anything like that. So there's that. I mean, like I said, I could be wrong. There could be something that gets discovered that, you know, blows the tournament out of the water, but I highly doubt it. Next deck is going to be probably the most hated deck of the format. And I think this is the most controversial meta we've had in a very long time. But, I mean, me personally, I think it's okay. It could be worse in my personal opinion. I don't think it's that bad, but, you know, that's just my opinion. Tier 3 Heroes. Now, they say Heroes is tier 3. I think it's a little bit closer to tier 2. I think it's a lot better than people expect. I mean, are giving it credit for. I mean, Heroes has been good for a long time. I'm not really sure why it got bumped down so low. I think the only reason you're not seeing a lot of tournament representation is because people are getting bored with it. You get what I'm saying? So, like, Resonator is a fresh deck. You know, it's fun to play. You know, Salamangreat. I mean, it's not impossible to beat Heroes, but I think it's still a solid option. Let me go. I'm going to have to search these cards individually because looking through every single hero card is going to be a pain. So we got Stratos. Got the Armed Dragons. Am I tripping? Where's the other one? Oh, there we go. Heroes are definitely going to be playing Effect Veiler. Be put like that. Okay. Heroes are definitely going to be playing Effect Veiler. They're going to be playing Droll. I don't think they're going to be playing DD Crow. They're going to be playing Droll. Obviously Super Poly, you're going to see that. Book of Moon or Droplet. Typically you don't see both, but if they do play both, I don't think it'll be more than 2 copies of either, because there's kind of better cards from that ad, like Necro Valley. They're gonna want to see cards like Necro Valley and different Dimension Grounds. Those cards are gonna be a little bit better for them than Forbidden Droplet or Book of Moon. I mean, DDG, Different Dimension Grounds, and Necro Valley, those are better going first. I don't think Heroes need too much help going second because they just draw so many cards. And in drawing so many cards, you're just gonna see Necro Valley and Different Dimension Grounds most likely in your starting hand. Not your starting hand. In going first, when you draw those 4 extra cards, you're gonna be seeing Necro Valley and Different Dimension Grounds, especially if you're running them at 3. If you choose to run it at 3. Neos. I'll never forget Neos. The Emergency Call. Like I said, filling up these last slots, probably going to be Droplet or Book, or more copies of Necro Valley and DD Grounds, another copy of Miracle Fusion. It's not going to look too much different than this. In my opinion, this is probably the best way to play Heroes. Just, you know, more copies of these cards here, these 4 cards that I mentioned, or Miracle Fusion. Now, here's my thing. Here's what I want to talk about with the extra deck, right? I know you guys are looking at arm Neos, probably like, what the hell is going on with that? Now, I think armed Neos is a little bit underrated. Actually, hold up, I forgot a card. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. That card is going to be really good for Heroes. Heroes is probably one of the only decks, other than Sub-Terror, that can run this card successfully. Specifically because they can just draw into it most likely, and obviously they don't really play the dark monsters, so Salamander could run it, but they don't draw like that, so it would just be more of a variance thing. But yeah, other than that, yeah, this is pretty much what you might want to expect. Now, going to the extra deck, like I said, I'm not sure why people are running Elemental Hero Core. I don't think in the entire time Heroes have been around, I've seen 3 Elemental Heroes on the field at once. Now, you could say for the mirror match, you know, you fuse yours, and maybe 2 of theirs potentially, like if they try and Stratos with Neos, pop your back row, and then you have a hero out on the field, and then you super poly those 2 and yours. I mean, I guess, but you could have just made a Sunrise. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't see the reason people are playing Core. To me, the correct option is Armed Neos. Now, you could summon Armed Neos through Polymerization, Super Poly, or your Neos Fusion. And Armed Neos has a very strong effect. Choose 1 dragon monster in your graveyard and destroy all monsters your opponent controls with a level equal or lower than that. Now, this is great going into Resonators. Turn 2, you activate the skill. I mean, you could super poly your Neos, right? You could super poly your Neos in their Abyss, let's say, to get out your Escorado. But I think if you have a chance to get out that Arm Neos, I think you should take it, because it threatens everything except the Nova. Now, Abyss and Void are very strong cards, and they're probably going to try and, you know, negate Void and stuff like that. But, you know, Heroes have ways to play around that stuff. Having the Arm Neos pop the Abyss and the Void for free, that takes a lot off your hand. Now, listen, you could argue that, what about Fiendish Chain and stuff like that, right? This is why I say Heroes are probably going to be playing cards like Forbidden Droplet and Book of Moon, right? Because they're going to want to dodge those effects. Book of Moon with their monster face down. Droplet, tribute the Arm Neos off the field to get their to get the effect off. Like I said, Heroes can bait with, you know, Stratos. They could even bait with Armed Dragon level 10, right? You summon Armed Dragon level 10, flip it face up, discard a card, they negate most likely. Okay, here's what Resonators could do. They could banish Armed Dragon level 10, but the thing is with that is that's something that you would have to think about doing. Most people would probably want to negate it and save their banish for Rainbow Neos or something like that. They probably don't want to actually use it on Armed Dragon, they'd rather negate it. But I mean, the only way I see a Resonator player banishing their Armed Dragon level 10 going as Heroes go second is if they are anticipating an Armed Neos, which most players in general are not, because not that many Hero players are running this card for whatever reason. Armed Neos is the best choice to run in this card, and I mean in this extra deck. There's no other card that is suitable to replace it other than a second Sunrise. Now, I think Sunrise and Armed Neos kind of do the same thing, because after you bait out their effects, right, you can fuse into your Sunrise, get the Miracle Fusion, go for a second Sunrise, so if they negate one, you still have the other. So, I mean, Now, they would have to negate the effect of sunrise, but like I said, you're gonna bait out everything else anyway. So even if they negate one, you still have another sunrise. Now that sunrise is probably you're not gonna use it for its effect, but it'll still have that attack boost to help you get over those resonator monsters. Probably not Nova, but it should be, your monster should be getting high enough to get over that the void over dragon and the abyss. You guys know what the other extra cards are, but I mean, if you don't, I mean, it's one of every available attribute. I can freaking find them. I don't remember all their names. Oh, and Neos. So we got Gaia with the light one. And then we got one for the wind. Tornado, I think his name is. And then the flame one. There we are. So this is what your extra deck should look like as a hero player or a second sunrise. Now, I will say if you are playing 2 sunrise, I suggest you play a second Miracle Fusion just in case you can't get the 2 sunrises off at the same time, getting that double attack boost. It'll be good for the grind game. Let's say you top deck it, right? But or let's say you get your sunrise out, right, through your polymerization. You have the Miracle Fusion. And then on the follow-up, you can go into another sunrise, which another Miracle Fusion, and then start making Tornado or fucking Gaia or whatever. Probably not Gaia because you don't have any Earths, right? Not Gaia, but you know, whatever's best useful at the time, whatever you want. Next deck, probably the second most hated deck. Predaplants. Now, this deck is only difficult to beat because I think a lot of people don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't think people know what this deck does and why cards are having certain effects and things of that nature. Why, you know, the Predaplant players, you know, able to do this and that and this and that. They don't know what effects to stop or what effects to care about and stuff like that. I'm actually going to throw this in there. I'll explain that later. Boom, boom, boom. Now here's the thing with this deck, right? This deck can be built in a lot of different ways. Sorta. I mean, every deck is gonna have their core, right? But this deck in particular can be played in a decent amount of ways that is, I don't want to say too unique, but it's relatively unique compared to other decks. There you are. Alright, now excuse me. The cards that you are seeing here, okay, let me take out the card you probably won't see in every Predaplant list. Alright. These cards, this is the main core of Predaplants, and these next 8 slots are pretty much all tech cards, or you know, other options that they can play. The reason you saw Spino Dianea, this card here, the reason you saw that is because this will help you OTK after you clear their board. You revive it with Predapruning, right? And help you OTK. Also, if you're not playing Squidrocera, cutting down on your ceiling by a lot, in my personal opinion. You know, Predator Plants could play the Link package with IP and Goddess. They don't have to, though. That's the thing. They have other options. They can play Ensemble Robin, right? And they can also play Recital Starling, right? Or, you know, they can play the Lyreless cards, right? This will help them get rid of a back row. This will help them search for DD Crow. Searching DD Crow against certain matchups, specifically Lyreless, potentially even Salamangreats, could be really good. You're probably going to want Ensemble Robin over the Recital Starling, but that let's say for whatever reason, I don't know, you have other disruptions that you feel will do the job, you know, fine without Ensemble Robin. So you decide to search Recital Starling, you know, to play around, I don't know, a droplet or something like that, right? More impactful hand, or another variable for your opponent to have to worry about, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. You might want to make this instead, you get what I'm saying? So they can play the Lyreless cards, they can play, you know, the standard Phoenix Nightmare package, you know. Oops. They can play this, they can, now, you may be wondering, what about cards like Super Poly or the Trap, right? I don't think those cards are good right now for Predator Plant. Especially the Trap. The Trap is probably the worst one to play right now. Then Super Poly. Super Poly would probably work because of surprise factor. But Predator Plant, Drosophilum Hydra, that's probably going to be the most consistent, the most reliable limit one that Predator runs. The reason why the Trap is the worst right now is because it requires a lot of setup, and the best board that it can make, if I'm not mistaken, is not consistent. So basically what you do is you set up the where's the fusion at? You play 2 Dracos to Palia, right? And then what you're supposed to do is have your Squidrocita out on the field to be fused with the other Dracos to Palia, so you can get another negate and put another counter on a different monster, right? But that requires a lot of resources to get all that stuff set up. I know you do a lot of searching and stuff, but I mean, that could be easily stopped with Duel. You're not going to be able to set that up under Duel. Or DD Crow. Effect Veiler at the right time could stop that if you need a particular card to grab. So setting that up isn't easy. But this is probably going to be what their extra deck looks like for the most part. Missing the level 8. Not the level 8. Was it 7? Okay, 7, and then start Venom, obviously. Probably gonna look something like this. Is the most balanced. They can make this IP Goddess package very easily, and this is why I brought up this other card, Ultra Polymerization. I think this is not a secret tech. It's not like completely under the radar, because it used to be played in this deck more consistently. But with the addition of IP and Goddess, I personally believe if you were playing Predator Plants with IP and Goddess and not running Ultra Polymerization, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're able to get resources from the grave. You get 2 monsters for free, basically. Well, it's not for free, for the cost of 2,000 life points, but you know, people don't really consider life points a true resource. But it's essentially for free. That gives you free material to go into Goddess, but you really shouldn't be using it to go into Goddess. You should, not into Goddess, you shouldn't be using it to go into IP. You should be using it for extra materials to have on the field to summon Goddess on your opponent's turn. So basically, right, you get your IP out, you got your Dracos to Palia out, right? then use ultra polymerization, bringing back the Ambulomelodus and the Squidrocera. Those are the two cards that you want to use to summon the Ambulomelodus. Or what you could do is you could kind of do it early. I'm pretty sure with the Ambulomelodus, you summon it in an extra monster zone. You then summon the fusion materials that you use to make Ambulomelodus. One of them should be Squidrocera. And you leave your Squidrocera out. You don't tribute it, you don't use it to fuse or whatever, right? On your opponent's turn, use IP, their monster, Squidrocera, and one other monster to then make Goddess. Squidrocera will use its effect to place counters on all your opponent's face-up monsters, and then now all those monsters are negated under Predaplant Dragos the Theyre. So it's basically a secondary Predaplast, but it kind of has a little bit more utility because of Goddess and IP. But yeah, expect this card. Like if somebody's really using their brain or somebody who's really paying attention to this could really be a lot better than people give it credit for. And also another thing I like about ultra polymerization, it's a polymerization to basically I actually didn't even remember this part. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation, so it can't even be negated. It's an extra polymerization because sometimes in Predaplant you just like to, in addition to the polymerization you already have, you just like to have a poly in hand other than the polymerization you get from the skill. It's just nice to have. And this gives you an extra poly, and it's not even like it's bad to have. Like having one of these 4 cards in your hand is pretty good. Pretty good to help you combo off or dodge effects or play through disruption and stuff like that. Yeah, ultra polymerization, bro. And the people playing Neos, bro, 5 fusions. Do all that searching, bro. Between your starting hand and then searching, you're bound to have like one of these 5 and 30 cards. There's a good chance in your duels that you'll have one pretty often enough. One card people may cut though is Predaplast because it locks you into dark fusions, or just fusions. Yeah, it locks you into fusions, and so they might replace it with a third. What is this? 3 Predapruning. Now I play both. I play 3 Predapruning and the 1 Predapractice. I might cut Predapractice. When I play Predaplants, I don't play this card that often. Like I rarely ever activate this card. Probably the least activated card in the deck. So, and then I usually run the 2 Predaponics. It really helps in setting up your link plays and just follow up too. Like, okay, let's say you top deck Predapruning, you bring back your Dragos Stepelia or your Chimera Phlesia. That's a disruption that they have to deal with. So, that's Predaplants. Alright, moving on to the next deck. Lyrilisk. Now the thing with Lyrilisk is like this deck is very simple. It's like Salamangreat and Resonators. It's not too much to like go off of. There's not too many different techs to be ran. Right. King. The only other cards that would probably be good in this deck is Droplet. Droplet's good everywhere. And MST for those back row resonators. And actually I think Bird Strike would be pretty good. The thing is, you're most likely not going to be searching it unless you open Bird Sanctuary, because going first you're not searching it. Going second, it could be a good option to search though. So because it says a Lyrilisk monster, so when any of these are out, you could just activate this card and it'll eat up a disruption from Resonators. Probably wouldn't be that good against Salad or Heroes, but Resonator is going to be the most played deck probably. So this would be a good tech to run to counter them or eat up a disruption. Now what you could do is Bird. Let's say you draw this hand, right? Let's say you draw Starter, right? That Bird Strike and Droplet. They activate Bird Strike. You activate Bird Strike. They attempt to negate it. Go Droplet. Boom. Tribute off a monster in hand, and and your Bird Strike negate 2 extra monsters. Or maybe the only thing is you might want to tribute a monster because you want to make sure it goes through, and they'll have just their back row you have to worry about, and it only will be Fiendish Chain. So I mean, that's why you got your MST Fiendish Chain. So pretty standard, not much really to talk about with this deck. It's very straightforward, but it's still a good deck. Next deck I want to talk about is Subterra. Now with Subterra, I have a very controversial opinion about this deck that I'll bring about later. Actually, let me just grab the cards now. Duality, of course. Terraforming. Punishment. Alright. So your Subterra decks are probably going to look something like this. I mean, this is pretty standard and it's very safe. You can't really go wrong with this. For punishment, if you don't have Entis, you need to be running these extra deck cards anyway. And no, it's not this one. I think it's the other one. Might be this one. Yes. Alright, oh wait. No, it's not this one. Wait, is it this one? It's not even this one. What am I doing? Okay, hold up, excuse me. My fault. I forget the names of cards, but I know cards look like and what they do. So, we got Fusion, Rock. Not that many options. Oh, it's this one, and I believe this one. Oh, there's 6, that's why. Okay. If you don't have Entis, these are good free-to-play alternatives. I don't know if they're necessarily free-to-play. You probably could get them from box tokens. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. I think you should be able to get them with box ships. 2022. That's like 3 years ago. It's going on almost 3 years now, so you might be able to get them. But these are good alternatives to run. You should be running 5-headed dragon for cards over 2,500, or in this case 2,400 attack if you don't have Entis. And if you don't have, like I said, if you don't have Entis, run these 2 cards. Now, the thing is, when you send this to the graveyard with punishment, it's basically a slower Entis, so you'll get the pop of whatever card you want on your turn. So you would banish this card from the graveyard to pop a monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster on the field, destroy it. And then for this one, you target 1 spell and trap card on the field, and you destroy it. So depending on what you feel like you need to destroy, you send the appropriate card. Me personally, I don't run any of that crap. I think Subterra's trap is enough. And also, the traps don't help you go second. So, yes, you can set them, but like you can set them fast. But when you're going second, I feel like, me personally, I want more fuel to go and break that board going second, because I don't want to have to worry about it later. I don't want to have to worry about it turn 3 or 4 and onwards. I don't want to have to worry about what they got going on. And a third final battle will help me do that. How? Well, I get to see it in my hand more often and dodge effects that they would use to stop Umastrix. Now, here's my thing, right? This is my controversial opinion. I like running Clash. Clash is probably the most underrated card in this entire archetype, because so here's the thing, right? It takes up a zone and it doesn't do anything. It's not an inherent like disruption or anything like that, right? But the thing is, for me, because the skill generates you so much advantage, I think it's okay to run this card. And for me, this card has done wonders for me. So having this card face up keeps Guru live 24/7, no matter what. As long as this card is face up and Guru is face up, you can use Guru whenever you want. You have your final battle to keep your Guru alive, but I don't like using final battle because to me it's basically a 2-for-1 trade. I have to activate 2 cards for 1 disruption to disrupt one of your monsters that may or may not go through. You hear what I'm saying? At least with having the Cave Clash up, let's say for whatever reason Guru gets negated or something like that, right? I can still use Subterra Final Battle's attack to boost Subterra Final Battle's effect to boost Guru's attack, keeping him alive, right? So let's say Guru's face down. Let's say this attack even the effect successfully goes through. Excuse me, goddamn. The effect successfully goes through. I'm able to flip a monster face down with Guru, right? Now, let's say they go to the battle phase, right? They have monsters bigger than 1800 defense, right? I can negate an attack with Hidden City, and I can boost with Final Battle, keeping me in the game. You get what I'm saying? Otherwise, I would have to have used both effects and maybe even lose my role at that point, which I don't want to do. And Clash is even better. You'll see the effects of Clash more when you don't have the Uma and Guru. When Guru's alone and you have Guru, Clash, Final Battle, and Hidden City, you'll really start seeing how useful Clash is. Trust me. It feels so nice being able to not have to trigger Final Battle just to get your Guru alive. And me, I like having 2 Final Battles set. I like setting up 2 Final Battles and my Clash. Now you're probably saying, oh, isn't that clogging up your back row and this and that? Yes, you're right. But I don't care about any other piece of back row because I'm not running Terrors of the Overrule. I'm not running Punishment. I'm not running IDP. I'm not running any of that stuff because my trap card does wonders. And I get a free protection under Hidden City. I get an Omni Negate. So I think the deck in itself is enough. But a card that comes in clutch is Effect Veiler. Now, obviously Effect Veiler is in every deck, right? But the thing is, it's really, the thing with Effect Veiler, right, is if Subterras go, it doesn't matter. You cannot read Effect Veiler in this deck. Unless, if you go second, obviously, you're going to see the delays from Effect Veiler. But if Subterra goes first, you will not anticipate Effect Veiler like that. You're going to be thinking about Nib more than Effect Veiler because Nib is a great addition to this deck because the monsters are generally face down. But Effect Veiler comes in clutch. Having a negate from Fiendus, a negate from Final Battle, a flip face down with Guru, banish from Umastrix, attack boost, attack protection, like all those different points of disruption are gonna overwhelm your opponent more than the trap, because the traps, they can read the traps, right? Or they can play around the traps, or they can disrupt the traps. They can't do anything about Effect Veiler typically. They can try and dodge it, but like I said, you have the Omni Negate. So for me personally, I think it's, and bro, duality is really nice because you can search that extra Effect Veiler. the way I play the deck, it sets me up for success in a different way than me running the traps. Everything feels a lot slower when I run the traps. The deck just feels slower. There's not much else I can say after that. The deck just feels a lot slower than it should be. But when I run hand traps in the deck, it feels a lot more interactive than the traps do. And I like to play it like this, and the last card I usually play in here is Book of Moon. It's a one-of, but it's a nice balance to have. I also run, I should also mention, I also run Ultra Moffats. That's another reason I don't run traps. Anything that the traps can do, I personally feel like Ultra Moffats can do just as good, if not better, right? Because here's the thing, right? When you set Umastrix, right? Even if the banish goes through, you're only dealing with one of their monsters. And let's talk about Resonance. Resonance is going to be the most, talked about. It's the deck to beat, alright? You're only dealing with one of their monsters. So how are you getting over, let's say you get rid of all their disruption. How do you deal with Nova? The boy's at least 5,500 attack. No monster in your deck is getting over that even with Final Battle. How? You either Guru or Ultra Moffats. Now here's how I play the deck, right? I get Resonators. I will use, my effect to get Ultra Moffats face down, right? And I will activate every other effect. I don't even care if it goes through. I will activate every other effect and then save Ultra Moffats for last. And then flip everything face down and deal with it that way. But here's the thing, when you play Ultra Moffats, right? What you don't want is to have your opponent being able to flip monsters up when you don't want to. So, let me put it like this, right? This goes for against any deck, not just Resonators. If you are using Ultra Moffats, and think about Fleur, right? Make sure all their cards get flipped down at the same time. Don't try not to leave any monsters face up, because what happens is on your turn, on their turn, when you want to flip up Ultra Moffats to set their cards again, right? They have to, they get the ability to flip them face up if they weren't summoned that turn. So let's say for whatever reason you weren't able to flip down a monster, right? But you flip them down for Ultra Moffats on their turn. That monster comes back up. Ultra Moffats only has 1800 defense. Now you can use Final Battle to protect yourself or the Hidden City, but it depends. In the grind game, you want to make sure that Ultra Moffats flips down all their monsters at the same time and not leaving anything face up for whatever reason. But also, I think that the deck can be played at 30 cards with Nemesis and with 3's Hidden Cities. I don't think it's that bad, but you have to be running Nib, and I think the Lord is a good card to run if you're also deciding to run it at 30 cards. Specifically because it gives Nemesis something to do, so it's not just a breaking game. Let's say you go first, right? Let's say you go second. My bad. You go second. You activate Nib on your opponent. Boom. Right? You get the effect to set your trap card or your spell card. You're not going to be able to get a behemoth out because you have a monster on the field. But Nemesis, let's say you have Nemesis over Duel. Nemesis can get you your behemoths, and these guys have good effects. Like banish one, flip the whole flip the whole field of monsters face down. These guys have good effects. So hey, you tribute your bearer off or your lord off.
get to behemoth him, you know. So that's why I think I mean, most people are not gonna play it like this because they don't want to take that chance. Obviously, Guru is the better pick, but Nemesis isn't that bad, especially because he's not even really a brick. Like the way the deck is designed, let's say you draw Nemesis, right, to use it to activate your skill. You can just set Hidden City, activate Hidden City, get your Guru, set Guru, flip up, get your Phoenix or your final battle, and keep it pushing. You're gonna have other decks in your hand. You're gonna either have the Phoenix, your Effect Villa, your Nib, the Lord, maybe a Book of Moon. You're gonna have other stuff to protect you. So it's not the worst thing in the world if you have the Nemesis Warrior in hand. But you know, people are not gonna do that. I mean, that's okay. I'm not a big fan of Nib in this deck anyway because I think it clogs. I know this sounds weird. It clogs your field. You can afford it, but like it's kind of like theyre. You can't really do anything with it. You can attack with it, but then you leave yourself open to being attacked over, especially against resonators. So usually they can't come back after Nib, but I've seen stuff. So I'm not the biggest fan of Nib. It can work. I mean, a perfectly timed Nib can usually win you the game anyway. I think it kind of clogs your deck a little bit and leaves you a little bit more prone to bricking, especially since I run cards like Ultra Fumafis, Ultra Mafis, and Clash. Throwing Nib in there doesn't really, it's not a good idea for this particular build because it's prone to bricking. Like, you'll draw 2 Nibs and an Ultra Mafis with a freaking a book or Effect Bill or whatever, and you just have to hope your top deck is going to be something worth, you know, playing. So it just doesn't work for this version of the deck. But without these 2 cards, you could just replace them with Nib. And I mean, I just don't like having Nib with me games. I like to actually play them through. So that's another reason I like these cards. I think they're very interactive. And my opponent can't say I beat them because of Nib. They can't complain about Nib. So I beat you fair and square, bro. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I like this version of the deck. You can run more books. I would say don't run more than 2 dualities if you're playing less than 24 cards, because opening 2 dualities is literally the worst thing ever done. And also, you don't want to see duality when you activate duality. You don't want to see it as one of the 3 cards that come out. So that's why I suggest only playing 2. If you're going 24 and up, sure, you can run the 3rd one. Also, I don't like playing a lot of like look at all these triples: 3 Effect Villa, 3 Guru, 3 Fiendish, 3 Duality, 3 Hidden City, 3 Final Battle, 3 Book of Moon. Like, I don't like having that because, like I said, I like to have variants. So seeing duplicates in my hand, I get really disturbed. But yeah, that's how I like to run sub-terrors. But going back to the most standard way you're probably gonna see it. Probably gonna be 20 cards. And also, if you see somebody with their own cards playing 3 duality, please do not follow them because you're gonna regret seeing those dualities and you do not want to. Yeah, they'll play like Overrule or Punishment or something like that. So it'll probably look something like this. Or some people like to actually play the 3rd Final Battle. So yeah, something like this. Another deck I wanted to cover is Gemini. Now, Gemini has fallen off quite a bit, but I still think it's pretty good. It's not gonna be like a super duper deck, but it can still play. Personally, if you're not running these 2 cards here, you're not playing Geminis properly, in my personal opinion. Yes, you get the Gemini Spark off your off the skill, but being able to search it going first gets you a nice card advantage. especially with this trap. Man. This trap is busted, and this go having it activatable. Can it be searched with this? It can be. That's great. But yeah, you get a lot of advantage. Hold on. That's fine. Gear free. Get a lot of advantage with that. You can play this without the Infernobles, but I think they are good. Like they're good utility. It's not the worst thing in the world if you decide not to run it, but they do provide good value of having boss monsters on and stuff like that. It's the Durendo. Those are not related at all. Reinforcement of the army. I'm missing a card. Necro Guardian. Actually, it's like 2 Gemini cards on this one. Chivalry. And 6. Now, don't be mad at me because you don't need to run all these cards at once, right? You can take out the Infernoble stuff. It would look something just like this. Actually, I do suggest you play that one, even though it's an Infernoble card. It looks something like this. Maybe you run a tech card or something like that. But if you do play the Infernoble stuff, I mean, you could take out the Shogun Shien. It's not that important to have. It is nice to have, but because you run the counter trap, it doesn't serve the same purpose. But it kind of feels the same, like having that negate. That spell negate, because you know a lot of spell cards, they're combo enablers, they're searchers and stuff like that. So having that spell, bro, imagine negating Hidden City, Crimson Gaia, Polymerization. Those are good negates. So if you're not running, at least even if you don't want to run Gemini Spark, run the Gemini counter, bro, to negate those Crimson Gaias, bro. Trust me. If you're a Gemini player, let's say you went all out on this deck, bro, it's a free card, it's normal, bro, there's no reason why you shouldn't have it. Yeah. The Infernoble package is pretty good. You don't have to run the second Renaud, but the thing is, with Renaud having 2 of them, opening it is pretty good. That's why people run 2, no other reason. But 1 is still okay, because you are going to have cards like your Heritage of the Chalice. You're gonna have your Durendos, so 1 is perfectly fine. And you know, this card is for recursion, but it's also a combo piece. So you know, you Gemini players know what's going on. Necro Guardian is a good, you know, hand trap, searchable hand trap through Roland right here. If I'm not mistaken, you can search it with Roland, right? Add 1 fire. Oh, you can search it with Roland. But it's a good card to have. Nice discard fodder for the trap. You do want to play 3 Evocator, because this card can revive any fire warrior from your graveyard. Any fire warrior. So here's the thing, right? You play 2, you risk opening both of them and not having 1 in your deck. You play 1, you're cooked, bro. You should not be playing 1. There's nothing to say. Play 3 of this card. This card is nice for the run game. It can revive your Gear Free. It can revive your Charles. It can even revive your freaking Shogun Shien, if I'm not mistaken. So you should be able to summon it. So play 3 copies of this card. I've seen some people play 2. I highly disagree with that. Play your 3rd copy if you want. Drop the goddamn butterfly and play your 3. Butterfly is good because you can be used to summon gold knight leg. Now, some people play multiple gold knights. I mean, the thing is with gold knight is you're not really going to be using his effect multiple times per duel. You can, but typically you just get it the one time and be gone, and if you want, then you get your butterfly back, right? Now, you could run 2 Evocator and then rely on the butterfly to get your monster back, but to me that's too many snaps. You're risking getting butterfly interrupted to go into Evocator, you get what I'm saying? So, I mean, you could get your Evocator disrupted, but that's just one, you get what I'm saying? That's just one thing you have to worry about. Not butterfly into Evocator into something else, you know what I'm saying? As far as the extra deck's pretty standard. Nothing special. You should be running Dueler. You should be running the Dempsey. You should be running Phoenix. You should be running Goddess, bro. Please, bro. If you have Goddess, run it in this deck, bro. This deck spams out monsters and getting over certain boss monsters like that Nova, bro. Or just getting rid of this. Could be nice. You could run Hida. The thing is, I don't see much utility in Hida, other than Salamangreys that can revive the Bailings back to, you know, do damage to the, not deal damage, destroy the opponent's board that way, so they don't have a Bailings engraved to protect from the Phoenix, the Rising, what's it called, Rising Phoenix or something like that? I forget what it's called. The Link 4 Salamangreys card, whatever it's called. That's the only real utility I see for Heater at all. I can't really see its use otherwise in this deck specifically. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Running Ferocious Flame Swordsman, okay, sure, maybe. It would probably not gonna run in there. A good option is Utopic though. You do run a lot of spell and trap cards. What the hell, I can't spell, but do run a lot of spell and trap cards, so it's just nice. Put it over the Duel or put it over the Dempsey. You don't have to run it, but it's a good option. Yeah, Phoenix. Oh my gosh. Oh, Pyrophix. We got Phoenix. We got Topic. We got Ferocious. Don't know how to spell Ferocious. My bad. Actually, let me try. Ferocious. Oh, hell no. Oh, wait, is that right? Oh, I was right. But yeah, this is pretty much a standard extra deck lineup. I just don't know 100% about these cards. But I'm sure you guys can figure it out, whatever you feel like you want to play. But everything else, pretty good to be running. I mean, there's no argument about running, you know, reinforcement of the army, right? Or getting 3 of these traps. I don't have 3. I wasn't a big Gemini player, but the deck is pretty good. Like I said, if you have Goddess, please run it. Very good option. But yeah, guys. Good stuff, good stuff. I think that's it for now. Every other deck that's out right now, like, okay, for example, Battling Boxer, right? It's not a tier deck, it's not the best deck, but I do think that deck can compete to an extent, specifically because of Resonators. Being able to negate that inherent summon with your what is it called? Your, let me see, the freaking link, the 5, General Kaiser, pretty good going first, negating their spell cards with the counter. Let's see. If you're playing Battle Boxer, bro, I suggest you try and get your third. If you don't have it, your third promoter. It's really good for baiting your opponent's effects and stuff like that. So if you do have it, run it. Run 2 of the Star Cestus, 1 for your combo, 1 for the actual effect. You can use it to ram into your opponent's regular monsters, going second. Pretty sure you don't get destroyed by battle either. Yeah, can't be destroyed by battle and you take no damage, or your opponent would take the damage that you would have taken. But let's see, counter, go counter. But yeah, try and run 3 promoters. I think that's it for the monster lineup. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think that's it for the monster lineup. I don't think you can get any more monsters. Run Effect Veiler. Droplet is nice, but I wouldn't say run too many. Dark Hole is going to be pretty good for this deck going second. Eclipse can be decent. I don't like running, what is this card? Battle Boxer Veil, because we already have Chief second and it's a little bit better. Veil is nice, so if you wanted to, you can run it, but I'm not the biggest fan on it. But a card that I feel like should be run in Battle Boxers is Lost Wind, because Battle Boxers need all the advantage that they can get, and having that steady negate on your turn, on your opponent's turn, and then it coming back for your turn to negate something that they might have. I think that's crucial to winning. Now here's the thing, there is the Exceeds package that people run. The thing is, with the Exceeds package, you can't run all these techs, right? Because you need the room for the Exceeds stuff. So, where are you? Exceeds gift. Oh, this card as well. And I think there's an Exceeds trap, though. Oh yes, the Exceeds block. So there's that too. This is a secret tech, Exceeds Universe. You probably could drop either the Comet Cestus or the second copy of General Kaiser. You can make Ding. Now the thing is, with making Ding, it's gonna cost you a lot of resources. So essentially, right, you do your normal combo with General Kaiser and Dempsey out, right? Why can't I find Nagirsu? There it is. Make your general combo with General Kaiser and Dempsey, right? But Exceeds Universe, you need to target 2 face-up Exceeds monsters on the field and send them both to the graveyard to special summon Exceeds monsters in your extra deck with a number, except the number whose rank is equal to or 1 less than the original combined ranks. So 5 plus 4 is 9, so it has to be either 9 or 1 less, which is 8, and then Gearsu is 8. And then you can attach the 2 materials, or you can attach those 2 monsters as materials for Ding. So you get the protection effect. You don't just get Ding out. You get Ding out to use its effect to send a card to the graveyard, and you get its protection effect too. Oh, actually, my fault. Excuse me. The trap card attaches to Ding rather than the 2 Exceeds monsters. So the 2 Exceeds monsters go to the grave, and then you attach the trap to Ding as protection. So yeah, like that. But even though that's good, like, you can run that. I don't have anything against it, but like I said, you're closing off your tech card option unless what you want to do is you want to drop those extra Exceeds cards for Exceeds Universe, right? So you're only So you're only searching either this trap or that trap or whatever, right? It's up to you how the combination of stuff that you want to do. I wouldn't say one is more optimal than the other. Personally, I like to run a little bit more text because going second is kind of hard for battling boxes right now. So even going first, man, because of Duel and Lockbird. Duel and Lockbird is eating up a lot of decks right now. Geminis, Heroes, Greta Plants, Resonators, Salamangrenates. I'm pretty sure they can play through it, but theyre can play through it, but it's not ideal. But bro, Duel and Lockbird, I think that card was introduced too early into the game because we're not at a point where decks can play through something like that, right? The only way they can do it is with a skill, and skills are not, those types of skills aren't prevalent enough for Duel and Lockbird to be an accepted card into the meta. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could play past Effect Veiler. You could extend past DD Curl. You get what I'm saying? That's not gonna kill your turn. Duel and Lockbird, bro, you're pretty much done, bro. Like, unless your skill saves you, bro, even then, like, your board is not, it's typically not anywhere close of what it could have been if it wasn't for Duel. And that's good because, you know, that means Duel did its job. But then the crackback of your opponent coming back to hit you with such a force is I don't think the power level is there in the game yet for Duel to make sense right now. So hey, that's just me. Some people are like, oh, Duel's a saving grace and stuff like that. Me, I think Duel is really too much right now. That's really the only card I have to complain about. I don't really care about anything else. But yeah. Hey, if you made it this far, thanks for sticking around. I hope this information was useful for you, and good luck this KC.